We'll start the meeting by standing, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you for this, everybody, for being here this evening, and also like to thank the elementaries. They provided us with pizza before the meeting tonight. I'd like to thank them for that. You might see remnants of paper plates or maybe a few pieces of pizza still around, but we again want to thank them. I want to thank Levi for being here to film the meeting tonight. Thank you. And as we get ready to start, please remember our mission and our vision. Our vision is to inspire all learners to be engaged and successful. Our mission to provide an enriching environment to meet the needs of all learners, and our core values of respect, integrity, students first, and excellence. Remember that as we go through our agenda tonight. But tonight, before we get to the agenda, we're going to open with a public hearing to look to amend the 21-22 budget. So we'll call the public hearing to order at about 7:08. Looks like.
7:05.
Okay, that clock's so fast. 7:05. Yep.
So our public hearing is to amend our FY22 budget, the one that we're currently in, an increase of instruction. That's due to the positions that we added using the ESSER funds, 7 additional positions. The total support services, some of that is our completing the softball field in the Gateway project. There's some non-instructional programs due to the increased cost of food services, and then the total other expenditures, which also includes some of our ESSER projects and ESSER dollars. Amending the budget's a typical thing. You could not do it, and then your auditors would tell you that you should have. So we just, when we have these adjustments from what we approved 14 months prior, this is the process that we go through to amend the budget.
Are there any questions? I also don't see any questions from anybody from the audience, which I don't believe we have any questions. So, hearing none, I guess we'll close the public hearing then at 7:06 and move into our regular meeting agenda. We need a motion then to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second the motion.
Okay, Jay and Tom, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. No hearing of delegations, no communications to the board at this time, so we'll roll right into the consent items. You should have received those Friday with your packet. Hope you had a chance to look through them over the weekend. And Todd, you got a chance to go through the invoices?
Everything looked good.
Good, thank you for doing that. Any questions for Joe or Joe? Do you have some?
I have the revenues and expenditures on the screen there just to show. So right here, this 14, a little over 14 million would be our expenditures for this year, and our revenues at 16.4. So we have thought this would be a year that we will have a surplus. That continues to show that way. Again, our ESSER reimbursement, that will continue to happen, but the expenses are already over here. So we certainly will continue to see a surplus as we close out FY22. And you can see how that has, through the months, that continues to grow as we are getting some of those ESSER reimbursements.
But
Overall,
Joe-
our ESSER should be neutral, right?
Yeah, in and out. In and out, yeah. It's just when the way this shows up, the expenses are there. All the forecast models that I've used with you guys, we simply are putting those in and out. And then we stop them also, which is important that you don't continue to have those revenues in your future models.
And Joe, just to make sure we're all clear too, a lot of that money in the revenues is one-time
Yes.
monies too, not like
Absolutely,
that
yep.
will be continuing to.
ESSER 3, which was the last allotment, was about 1.4 million. Most of that we have in labor, as well as some projects. We'll have that spent by the end of next FY23, next year. And you have to, otherwise it's gone.
question, what's the annual agreement, it looks like it is, what's CIC? Is that a curriculum?
Infinite Campus.
Yep, yep, which is our student information system.
Okay, is that every, or annual?
Annual, yes, annual.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, I need a motion then for approve the consent items.
So moved.
Thanks, Todd. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thanks, Andrew. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent items. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move into the superintendent's report.
First of all, I want to say thank you to all of you guys. In honor of School Board Appreciation Month, we want to thank you for all that you do for the district, for our students and our staff. The elementary had some pizza in for you guys, and we have some certificates of appreciation for everything that you do. So thank you guys. As we're closing in on the end of the school year, the last day of school for students is May 24th with 11:30 dismissal. We'll celebrate those who are retiring, Kathy Briner, Mary Beth, Bruce Gervais, Kevin Hoover, and Vicki Kaiser at 2 p.m. That traditionally has been at noon, at 12. We're moving that to 2, and that's because we want to get all of our people there. You know, we start the year with all of our people together to kick it off. We want to end the year the same way. When we have it at 12, none of our transportation staff can be there, and we're honoring 2 of those, and we certainly want that whole department to be with us. We'll also honor our staff with 25 years of service with the Golden Apple Award and give out the Class of '79 Teacher of the Year Award. So all of you are welcome to attend if that works out for you. Something new we're going to have this year is a new Teacher Day. Not a very creative name, but that's what we have it. We wanted to develop a better onboarding for our new district to the staff. We have 2 days in August for all teachers who are new to the district, and those are useful, and we still need those. But there's work we need to do prior to them coming in August. So we're going to have them in on June 15th from 9 to 12. 3 hours, they'll get their computer. We'll get them logged into their Google account. They'll get their keys. They'll meet with Mrs. Eischen about what are their next steps for instruction in their area. They'll meet with their building principal, get to their rooms, and then we're going to end the day with some lunch at the feed mill. So again, if you're available on June 15th, you could come and meet some of our new teachers that day. North Central Conference admission change. Effective at the beginning of 2022-2023. There also will be a press release in all of our communities for this coming up. The conference will raise admission prices for the first time since 2006. In 2006, we raised it to $5 for adults. Really, to be honest, I think everyone was hesitant to go above that because of the amount of change in ones. So 16 years, obviously a lot has happened with our activity budgets. The cost of officials has changed a lot. The cost of equipment has changed a lot, and we have not kept up, and that's become an issue. The conference has approved adult admission going to $8 and students to $5. We know that is a sharp increase, but if we wouldn't have went that direction, we would have just had to continue to increase multiple years in a row. So it's doing all of that at once. Local districts will have flexibility to offer incentives for home events like senior citizen passes, which we do in our district. There also will be some electronic ticketing. That's part of this process that will be coming soon. Last piece I have is the board retreat. This is something that we've done the last couple of years and have included our administrators, and I think it's been really valuable for us for our planning and preparation for the upcoming year. We've went fairly early in the summer the last 2 years, which is good because it allows us time to work on the things that come up from the retreat, but I think we're flexible on when those dates are. So I think we wanted to open a discussion today of when those dates could be, as well as possible topics. I have a few on there. Reorganization, we're right at the end of that, but what will that mean for the district? future school schedules, like a 4-day student week. I shot that idea at you guys a few weeks ago in a memo. I think that would be something interesting for us to discuss. Some assessment data that Mrs. Eichen's been working on, and we got some really cool stuff that we want to share with you. And then I think it's always important for us to talk about our facilities and our future planning and where we're headed. Any other ideas for dates or for possible topics?
I think time was another thing, a factor. We probably will look at a couple hours this would take to go through, so. And I know nights are busy with baseball, probably afternoons, baseball and softballs too, but could we look at a 2 to 4, 3 to 5 type thing, and if we wanted to do our potluck afterwards, if anybody could stay, we have in the past. Andrea, I was supposed to call ahead of time. They did ask her tonight. She graciously said she'd be willing to host this year, so it'd be wonderful if we could find a date that would work for her to host, and then us to look at a time.
Evenings work best for me.
It was it? Okay.
Any days of
I mean, I'm flexible, so that's fine with me too.
it? Yeah, it's good.
I don't have kids in the activities that some of you may, so that's why most times late afternoon, early evenings could work for me. So, do we think early June? I mean, can we look? Is there a time in that first couple of weeks before administrators maybe get away from their offices before July? We don't have to bring them back in for a day. Let them have their time away a little bit.
Later in the summer either.
What's that?
That wouldn't be opposed to later in the summer. We've always done it early in the summer, but
Yep.
later in the summer, we kind of regroup before school starts and maybe put forth some goals or something for the upcoming year, but just for me, I mean, June is, I have 3 kids, 2 in softball, 1 in
Okay.
baseball, swimming team. I mean, I'm gonna have something every night of the week, looking at that, so I'll make it work, but it's just out there.
Even, high school baseball and I think Little League baseball and stuff's usually done by that second week in July.
Yeah. End of
You know,
July
it's
would be
like
better,
if-
Yeah, I was only trying to stay away from July just because of time off for others, and that we could.
Yeah, no,
But, yeah, I mean, in that first week of August, we hit the fair, usually in our community area here, and then we hit shortly after that state fair, so.
Something for the board retreat that I'd be interested in too, and just goes along with increased rates for athletics is like student fees. Like what are students actually paying to be doing? I think we need to be aware of that, just as a district, what, between band and books and lunches and which, I mean, isn't a fee, but, that's, the free lunches are probably gonna go away. My son just started driving and, there's like, maybe he's wrong, he's telling me there's a $3 parking charge, to park in the lots, which, so I'd just be interested to see what we actually are charging families here as a whole. I don't think anybody, would you have any idea if you had to guess what? I mean, it depends on activities, but.
There's a fee sheet we approve every year.
Yep, that's on our,
Yeah.
that'll be on our June board
kind of
agenda,
thing.
our fees
So
for this
we
year.
will have some of that out there for us, but surely can be reviewed. So,
Would June 15, since you're doing the new teacher thing, would that be the night to,
Wednesday night?
and on a Wednesday, if you guys have church in the summer?
I prefer not June 15th.
honestly, I'd have to.
I've got other things on already.
Well, they're looking, I thought of this when you talk about the conference passes. Has there been talk of buying a conference pass, allowing people, because.
Yeah, that came up in this discussion, and I think the ADs will get there, and they'll probably do it by, like fall, winter,
Okay.
for example. So, yeah, I think there will, and that would be one way to soften some of this,
Well,
yeah.
It would be real convenient too.
Right,
Buy
right.
one thing and you're.
Yeah, yeah.
And that'd be nice, I like the fall, winter.
Right.
thing.
Well, you know, if you don't have a volleyball player, you wouldn't buy a fall.
Yeah, we've always
Right.
had that. That's right. You know, that can come up. but-
We're not gonna be able to pick a date tonight, I don't even know.
I think maybe what would be best for that is I'd put together some dates, we send it out in like a poll and see just what works best.
Yeah. Good.
I think so.
And you and I can work on those dates to make sure
Yep.
they work with,
Perfect.
okay.
Yep. Because I also was gonna throw out, would a Sunday evening work, afternoon, evening, I don't know, but just throwing that out with the schedules being so hectic on weekdays, would a later Sunday evening or afternoon, so, something to consider. But thank you, we will get some dates out, hopefully we can, get something decided. Joe, anything else then?
Nope, that's it.
All right. We'll work on that and get it sent out. Administrative report. We have Mr. Cecil here tonight with a graduation list. Graduate list.
Graduated bunch.
We hope so.
Plan anyway.
A whole bunch.
So your senior class is one of our smaller groups right now. A couple small ones in a row probably here in our history, but 90 students slated to graduate. Details at the bottom there, commencement's 2 o'clock Sunday, May 22nd. In the high school gym. First time we'll be in the air-conditioned high school gym, so I'm pretty excited about having AC in there, so that'll be good for us. I've talked to Rodney just a little bit. He's planning on speaking, he tells me, so that's good. Others, we are back to bringing our faculty in as a group. We haven't done that for 2 years now with COVID, so we are bringing faculty in as a group. We invite any board members who aren't on stage. If you want to join our faculty, certainly can come in and sit with them. And likewise, if there will be anybody besides Rodney on stage handing out diplomas. If you know that now, you can tell me now. If not, you can get a hold of me and let me know what your plans are. You know, it works. Otherwise.
Works well with two, so, I mean, just depends if somebody has those we had anybody graduating this year as a board member, a son or daughter, but we also might have a relation or somebody that you'd like to be up there for. Let me know.
Otherwise, there's 90 students listed on your paper, and pending they complete everything. You know, we went from 40s and 50-degree weather to 90s, so it's time to graduate quick. Pending they finish everything over the next about week and a half, request that you approve them as graduates.
Make a motion to approve the graduates pending their completion. Second.
All right, we'll move right, that's right on our first one in new business, so we can just move right to it. We have a motion and a second to approve the graduate list. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Well, let's hope that it's approved. Let's hope they all graduate.
Congrats to
We'll
them.
plan on.
Was this the class as freshmen that they all made it through?
We had a couple of those in a row. I think that was actually last year's.
Yeah, I think it was last year's that you started that with.
They're freshmen. They all made it through freshmen.
Last year's senior group was the first freshman recruit. We've pulled out magic wand was closure, and it was a little off kilter, but back on we hope.
When we get to certified enrollment in the fall, remember this is a 90 going out, and we already know our kindergarten's over 100, so that will probably mean a pretty good certified enrollment number for us.
Good.
Do you want any IJ info this time? Not yet.
We get to it here shortly, but
All right.
we'll have you stand back up shortly.
All right.
All right, thank you, Cecil.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, next on the new business is approve the Algona Community School Foundation Representative John Scuffle.
Yeah, last month we approved our annual appointments for the Algona Community School Foundation. It's not a private foundation, so they must have a certain number of their board members appointed by us. Mr. Scuffle needed to be on that list from last month and was not, so we need to approve him this month.
Motion to approve
we have a second?
Second?
Andrea, yep, so we have a motion and a second to approve John Scuffin to the foundation. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. C, under new business, business manager retirement program.
Mary Beth will be retiring June 30th. You guys, we've been talking about that. Lisa Chapman has been in working for a little over a month with them, and they're transitioning well. Business managers are oftentimes difficult to classify. They are a position that needs certain certification, but they don't have a teaching license, so they're not really a teacher, but they're not classified. They're somewhere in between. They're one of very unique position that we have in a school district. As a result, I think it's difficult to classify her retirement for retirement purposes. She does qualify for the classified retirement program that we are in the last year of, that she'll get 1% of her salary multiplied by years of service plus her unused sick days paid out. Teachers received that as well, but then teachers also received 10 years of insurance. I would recommend that we provide Mary Beth with insurance until the age of 65, which would be 22 months of insurance. Again, kind of puts her in between the teachers and the classified program. Also, her being a department of one, we can give her a retirement program that is until a certain age. If you had a group of people, you could not, because then you wouldn't be giving everyone the same benefit. So you can do that in this case, and I would recommend that for her.
Now, isn't there a cutoff date for early retirement using the management fund or not?
Yeah, she's approved for their
Okay,
retirement
okay.
program though, so we've already done that part.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions? We kind of announced your age, Mary Beth, sorry about that. 22 months of insurance. Publicly.
I make a motion to approve the retirement program laid forth for Mary Beth.
I'll second it.
Thank you both. We have a motion and a second to approve the business manager retirement program. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And
Thank
we're-
you, Mary Beth.
Thank you. And look forward to seeing you at least a couple more months, or one more. All right. D in our new business, add kindergarten whole grade sharing agreement.
In November, we approved the extension of our whole grade sharing with the Laverne District for students in grades 6 through 12. And that's what this is. This is that extension that we approved in November. What we want to do tonight is simply add kindergarten to it. So it would be kindergarten and grades 6 through 12 as part of the whole grade sharing agreement at 75% of the per student cost for the 22-23 school year.
Was that an oversight on our part, or was it
It is not.
planned to?
They're projecting one kindergarten student. So rather than just have them in the building, whole grades share them to here, to be with our group.
Perfect.
So, could there be more? I mean,
Yeah, certainly. Yep.
Okay, any further discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the whole grade sharing for
Thank you.
kindergarten.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Lori. We have a motion and a second for the whole grade sharing approval for kindergarten. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Middle school CKLA, if I get all that.
Last month, we approved the purchase of the CKLA, our English Language Arts curriculum for grades K through 4. We had a great discussion about that. That's something I think that is really important for us to develop the consistency in our instruction and our curriculum across grade levels and across buildings. As we mentioned last month, we had started to review the middle school version as well. The middle school version cost-wise much different. Most of the cost in the elementary is the student workbook that we buy every year for 6 years. There isn't that. It's electronic in the middle school version. So to add the CKLA English Language Arts for 5-8 is $74,000. It's actually a little bit less than that. But something Mrs. Eischen has worked with our middle school staff, administration, instructional coaches. We think this would be a great addition to, again, develop that consistency. We would then have the same English Language Arts curriculum in grades K-8, the same math curriculum in grades K-8, which would be the first time we've had that in the district in a long time.
And that's a 6-year license, just like it was with Price?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes.
Like it was for elementary.
Yeah, and fifth grade really is typically elementary.
Right.
On all of their quotes, and so that's why if we were just to look at the 6-8 quote,
It'd be even less.
it'd be very, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like 14,000 at grade level. But fifth grade is,
The writing component of this,
yeah.
in the elementary, they write in the books, and then in middle school, they type on electronically or
No,
how?
the component for the consumables at the elementary would come more in skill work, so probably
Okay,
working on more
okay.
like phonics, some of that multi-syllable words as the kids get older. And in the middle school, they do still get a journal to write in. It's a lot smaller. It's much smaller, but then they also respond to text via computer in lots of little short anecdotal ways all throughout their lessons, so.
Any further questions? Now it seems like a good way to bundle it all together, so we need a motion then for approval.
I do the motion to approve the middle school CKLA.
Thank you,
curriculum.
Tom. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Todd. We have a motion and a second to approve the purchase. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Out-of-state trip,
Yeah,
trip?
yep, Ren Menke, senior at Algona High School, has been recently selected as an Iowa representative for a student leader at the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. Part of this trip, which is paid for, the trip is paid for to New Orleans. The student has one chaperone. Ren and her parents have asked Mr. Connick to chaperone Ren on these trips from June 9th to June 11th. So I would congratulate Ren, number one, and recommend the approval of the out-of-state trip for her.
Motion to approve the out-of-state trip. All right, thanks, Brandon. We have a second.
Second.
Thanks, Gloria. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And again, congratulations, Ren. Mr. Cecil, have you back up to the IJAG.
Well, and while Mr. Cecil's walking up,
Okay.
IJAG is a program that we added in the high school this year. Right now, we have a 9-10 and 11-12 IJAG program, two programs. I put in some of the general information. IJAG, it's a nonprofit organization that's funded nationally through some corporate and foundation contributions, public sector grants, and so on, and then school component. Our contract with IJAG, which we'll get to in the approval, is for $45,000 for 2 IJAG teachers. So there is a lot of expense on their side that they take up as well. I asked Mr. Cecil to be prepared to tell us a little bit about how it's impacting us, some of the kids we have involved and so on, and that's what he's going to share tonight.
Absolutely. So we started the year with just an 11-12 program. We tried to hire both positions and weren't able to find. And then at semester time, our 11-12 person took a different job. And so at semester time, we brought in 2 new people, but we have both programs up and running, 9-10, 11-12. First semester, we were in the mid-20s of students in it. We were mid-30s this semester between the 2 programs. And really, the bulk of the program is to break down some barriers between where a student is and where they might want to go as far as any future future schooling or future work. Some of it is partnering with businesses in town, some of it's just employability skills, some of it's the next steps to college. So any of those barriers that exist, a student who hasn't had parents go to college, that's automatically a barrier for them to get to college. So it breaks it down. So they're not all maybe barriers like we think of barriers. You might have a parent who's unemployed or not able to work. So finding a job is not necessarily what that student was lined up for. So good response so far from our students, making progress towards those. Certainly, whether you're going on to work or you're going on to college, graduating is a priority there. So that's been a ramped up piece with some of our students. They also do some budgeting. They're part of their program is some fundraising. Not a ton of fundraising, but some so that they manage that fundraising budget. They also do some things with elections within the group of kids that are in those courses. So they have a president and a vice president that they elect, and so they work through some of those processes. All of it is real world situations brought into the classroom. Teachers, the instructors do have some time where they're not in the building, they're out making those connections with businesses. That's a good partnership. And again, the two instructors we have in there right now started in January. So they haven't dug in as deep without going as we know they will, but that time is coming. So I said mid-20s, mid-30s so far this year in 2 semesters. Next year, our 11-12 group has 25 students registered. And we have 20 incoming 10th graders registered. We haven't registered any of our incoming 9th graders into that. So really looking in the future to target about 40 kids in each of the programs. So hit impact about 80 of our students in the high school.
And is this, they just meet one period a day?
Yeah, that meets during
It's one of their regular classes.
Normal class period, so.
Do we reach out to them and kind of select them for the program, or?
Yes, there's a couple of methods. I don't think we've been on any of the right methods to start with because we started in the mid-flow. And Daryl is a regional rep, and he and I meet, he and I interview candidates together. He kind of jokes when he sees me like, can't wait till next year when we do this the right way. So we're there. Each of the different age levels have an advisory committee. And so the instructors will meet with an advisory committee to look for recommendations, and then they will interview every student for participation in it. So actually in schools where it's up and established, it's kind of a waiting list and you're trying to get in. For us to get going, of course, we have asked students to participate. So that is, like I said, with 20 incoming 10th graders that way, those numbers are good in that direction.
Where would we be maxed out at?
I think that 40 to 45 is kind of a target range. They teach in essence 4 periods of our 8-period day, so that puts 10 to 12 in a section, which is about the right size. And then the other half of their time is making connections with business and or planning experiences. So about between the 2 programs, ideally about 8 sections of 10 to 12 each.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Cecil. So we funded IJAG this year with ESSER dollars. We plan to do that again next year. And I would recommend the approval of the IJAG agreement for the 22-23 school year.
I mean, this sounds like a great thing.
Yep.
ESSER money runs out.
Yeah.
Is there
You know,
possibility for this to continue?
There is. At-risk funds would probably be the easiest direction for us to go. And that'll be something that we have to look at next spring on where we want to allocate some of those dollars.
Good question. All right, any other questions? Then we need a motion to approve the IJAG agreement. Thanks, Brent. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thanks, Andrea. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. H, memorandum of agreement.
This is a memo that we've had before with the Cassuth County Board of Health that would allow them to use our facilities in a situation that could be caused by a natural or man-made disaster. And they even put in there terrorism, mass immunization clinic, mass distribution of medications, whatever it could be. Actually, you think back to 2020, the emergency medical service used our shop areas when we were in closure. I think that's kind of part of that memo. So in a worst case scenario where something is really bad, our building would be available to them.
Okay, do we have a motion then to approve this memorandum? Or any questions? Thank you, Brent. Do we have a second?
Second the motion?
Thanks, Tom. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have open enrollment to look at.
We have 4 open enrollment students. They are all kindergarten students into the district for next year, which we're always excited about those.
Make a motion to approve the open enrollment.
Thanks, Jay. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thanks, Andrew. We have a motion and a second to approve the open enrollment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Looking at the agenda, I do believe we need to add one more thing that we maybe should have talked about at first, but now that we had the public meeting, I don't see on there that we need to add that we need to approve the amendment.
We need to approve the amended budget as proposed, yes.
So, do we have a motion then?
I make a motion to approve the amended budget for fiscal year 2022.
Yep. Thank you, Tom. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Jim. Tom, you have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Go ahead.
Back to the open enrollment a
Yep.
minute.
Yep.
The, so the one on there, the number 3, is that change that open enrollment at all because we did the other approval of the overage sharing?
It doesn't. That student actually attends Algona for preschool right now.
Okay.
So I believe the parents work in the district, and that's why they do that. So they would open enroll to our district either way.
Good catch there.
And we do have students who open enroll from the Laverne to the Algona district, not in our whole grade agreements already. That's a choice their families make.
I just didn't know because it was part of the whole grade.
Right.
Okay, we're into personnel now, new contracts.
We have 3 new contracts. Last month, we approved that additional baseball position, Jacob Adams. We've offered that position to him. Maddie Elsbecker for JV volleyball, and Bailey Connors, our new high school vocal music teacher. Mr. Connors, Luther College graduate. Also, his high school instructor was an Algona graduate.
David Baxter was his high school.
So pretty cool
Yeah.
connection there.
All right. Need a motion to approve new contracts.
So moved.
Thank you, Andrew. Second. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Gloria. We have a motion and a second to approve new contracts. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then comes the resignations.
We have 6 resignations. Jessica Kern, teacher associate at Lucia Wallace. Adam Orban from assistant drama, which typically goes with our music high school vocal position. Bruce Gervais is retiring from our transportation. Michelle Durant from the drill team. Brittany Anderson, teacher associate at Seton, and Trevor Green, high school Spanish.
And I'm just sending around Bruce Gervais sent the board a personal resignation
Letter, yeah.
letter, so to pass around for you, everyone to look at. But thank you for your service. All right.
Thoughts on high school Spanish?
Yeah. Thoughts?
Mr. Cecil and I met after school.
We have 2 online right now.
Yeah, we have some applicants. Some we think we're excited about. So certainly, that's a difficult position, hard to fill position. But that's only been out
You have
there.
Spanish teaching lessons?
Do we have the under contract elsewhere that might be tough to?
No, no, one for sure is not. Recent graduate. Who, and wants to be in the area, that's why. So I think we got an opportunity.
All right,
I make
any
a
other
motion
discussion?
to approve the resignation.
Thanks, Andrea. And second. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Hey, before we adjourn, I
Yep.
was thinking about board retreat too, and several years ago, we talked about, I've talked to several people in the community, just not necessarily an alternative education program, but getting people and our students out there with different trades, people, you know, electricians, plumbers, there's a shortage of people going into trades. I think it's a very good career that, you know, we would have an opportunity to steer people that way, you know, and it's not about saying to a kid, you're gonna be a plumber, you're gonna be an electrician, but, you know, just pushing people towards a four-year degree is not always the right fit for everybody, and so
Yeah.
how we could incorporate that into our, you know, it'd be, you know, really just pioneer it. I don't know how many people do it. I'm talking about really investing in it as far as, you know, half days, what we can do to count this as, you know, people running a business or getting in there. I know there's different, I mean, there's electricians and things that are hurting for work.
Yeah.
You know, and that kids could even make a little bit of money, you know, and there's gotta be a creative way to do it to get
Yep.
kids out doing this stuff that could really help some kids be successful, so.
I think that's a great topic, Brent. Mr. Cecil and I have had this conversation a lot. We've started some work into some registered apprenticeships. That's one avenue. I don't think it needs to be our only one. Mr. Connick does some school to work stuff that has got some people out there. But I think a really important conversation for us to have as a group on where this is at, where it can go to meet the needs of our kids, and I would say also to meet the needs of our community.
Yeah. And it's not just even about, you know, you're thinking, well, you know, we gotta get at-risk kids, you know, a way to be employable, but it's not even that. I mean, you could have a great student that just, I mean, you look at the student debt, you know, that we're dealing
Yeah.
with, you know, there's a debate topic nationally about that, kids graduating that are just not employable with the, you know, so we need to, I think we really need to push that. And kids could be graduating with real-life experience that they could always fall back on, or even, a kid may do a year of apprenticeship, we'll call it an apprenticeship, it's not, you know, with an electrician or plumber, and decide, you know, I don't wanna do that. They still have a skill, and they know that they wanna do that. And they can look at some role models in the community that are making good livings, that own this business, and say, gosh, I can do well here. So I think we just need to explore that and really, over the next year or two, develop something.
Yep.
Still meeting the requirements for graduation, but.
Well,
So right now, about four things in the works. One is IJAC, that
Yep.
makes some of those connections. I mentioned Mr. Connick's program, we have a school to work, where kids gain employability pieces here and then have an internship as part of our school. We have a student on at Snap-on right now that will be employed there as soon as he graduates full-time. We have work release right now. We've got about 8 kids, I think, that work about half the day. So I know Kemna has a couple. I'm not sure where John Deere might have one, but all in that.
Or
trade.
these are like at-risk kids that have decided to do this, or they different?
This is any kid that's their walk of life right now. And then the registered apprenticeship is one that.
we've started to,
Tiptoed into.
yeah, and there's a lot more. The registered apprenticeship programs, I think, are intriguing because it's a 4-year program. You know, you talked about they would be working towards that, at the end, they would be working in that field, getting paid as a Algona High School student. And I think there's a lot of value to those. So I think that's a great discussion, something we've started administratively, and see what we can put together to meet our needs.
Yeah, I agree. I would just like to see it on, I think we really need to set it as a goal too, that we're gonna see this happen. You know,
recently there was, I think it was Woodbine, there was a news article on Channel 13, I believe. They built a big fancy rec center, but also part of it, I think it was
Saw that.
affiliated with the school, was a tech school, trade school or some of that, and they, you know, I mean, it was a lot of overhead to get started, you know, and stuff like that. And it was somehow affiliated with the school, and these kids went to there, I think, half days to learn the different trades, and there's a lot of neat things out there.
Yeah, definitely for rural area, would be well needed, so. Please remember, when you see the dates come out, to look them over and respond, so we can get that date set, so we can talk about this a little bit more in detail, so. But we're at a point now where we need a motion for adjournment. Thanks, Brent. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Andrew, motion second. We are adjourned.